if we're talking about adaptations, the Odyssey is like the fantasy, but it lacked the sex. It should have been in there, don't you think?
It's totally
like,
supposed
where
to be
is
in there.
it? Where did it all go? Obviously, we don't have Odysseus recounting what happened to him at the banquet. Instead, he's sitting with Calypso.
Which was so messed up.
Which actually was a bit like, why?
He never forgot. Odysseus was not supposed to forget. What does she... Oh, he's re-eating the lotus flowers. No, he's not.
No, she never gave him those flowers, did she? In the
not.
When you think about films, it's very easy to sort of say, I love horror, or I don't like chick flicks. But actually, when it comes to the books themselves, people are either like, I like reading, or I don't like reading. And what an adaptation can do, it can really take a book beyond the constraints, because you're either in the reading camp or you're not. But when it comes to movies, it feels like there are many more watchers than readers. Hello and welcome to the Bibliofilles. I'm Sophie.
And I'm Chaya.
And before we get stuck in today, I'd just like to take a moment on behalf of both of us to say thank you so much for taking the time to listen. We so appreciate it. And if you do like what we're doing here, please don't forget to like and subscribe and listen in wherever you get your podcasts. Now, on with the show.
Today, we are going to be doing a bit of a different vibe because it's not an exaggeration to say, we are living in the age of adaptations.
Totally.
Every book, every film is being turned.
It used to feel like the odd book here and there. But now it would be like the odd book being turned into a film. But now it'll be a film or a really long series or a 3-part series or a kind of docu-series. There are so many different kinds of things coming out, but there are so many books that are at the epicenter of these releases.
Absolutely.
Or rather, they're the formative part of them.
Yes, nearly half of all original drama series on Netflix, Disney and Amazon Prime were adapted from books. 60% more at the box office. Everything is becoming a TV show. There are adaptations that have made the books a big deal. There are and I personally, and that's what we're going to be doing today, I should say. We're going to be looking at the ones we've loved, the ones we've hated, the ones we're excited about.
The ones where we may have watched the adaptations before we've read the books, because the adaptations have been so all out there. Like, there are some where I actually didn't even know that they were a book first.
That's so interesting. But it's reading backwards, isn't it, that we were looking at?
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's going to get a bit tense because there are ones that we disagree about.
There are also some where I have disliked a book so much that I've, on principle, refused to see the film.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel the same way. I think there's also a real trepidation around, like, readers think, don't mess with what we love. I personally, my thesis for why, my like argument.
You and a thesis.
My argument within this episode is that I think that this is all linked to the risk-averse approach that studios are taking. People want an established fandom. They want to make a series where they know they're going to have hundreds of thousands of people raring to go.
And well, I think it's also just an absolute sign of the times that we live in, because I think that now we live in an age where established fandom is a real thing.
Yeah.
Because you know, through the different forms of media that are out there, namely social media, that these huge communities around these projects, they exist already, whereas that's never been the case before to this degree.
And it's so interesting, Sophie. It's such an interesting point because that community, like, there's so many people that say they're not readers. They're staunchly not readers. Maybe they'll pick up a book on holiday, right? But how many of those same people are obsessed with Game of Thrones or obsessed with shows that are books? And it's just about having the imagination to see them. Because it's all about books. People say, oh, wow, a book's podcast. Like, we're at the forefront of culture. Books,
yes.
Not us personally, but books are at the forefront of culture at the moment.
And just people aren't always necessarily aware. But I think what you say is very much true. I think it is that risk-averse approach.
All sequels.
But interestingly, when you think about it, there is also a real danger in that because, you know, these fandoms are serious. And if you mess up with the fandom and they don't like it, that can also have a flip reverse effect, can't it?
For anyone not watching, Sophie's looking at me as she's saying that, knowing that I am front and centre, the main proponent of don't mess with me about my shows and and we now get to section 1, which was they understood the assignment, okay? Lord of the Rings, the extended editions.
Do you mean the
Oh,
extended? Have you got that copy that James gave
Yes.
us, which you have stolen from me?
I have stolen it. It's right here. The Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson trilogy are my entire being.
They are incredible. They are absolutely incredible.
I have watched them thousands. I would like work to GCSE and A levels, like pretending to work, watching them every other day. I could literally give you the script.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's, you know, when I was given the box set edition and it had all the appendices and all the discussion with the directors, like you could see that they cared so much about the entirety of J.R. Tolkien's work, and they wanted to present it so beautifully. So I have not come across a review that excoriates it. It's only people loving it or saying they changed this, but that's because in this appendix it says, like, they really cared about the subject matter. I also think the acting, the fact that it was all set in New Zealand, it was so mesmerizing, it was so beautiful, the score, everything about it was so well done. It is still my entire personality.
I am quite aware of that fact. I mean, that probably needs a podcast in and of itself.
It's a whole thing. And then the second one is Pride and Prejudice.
Yes, but you love what version is it that you're...
God, what version?
No, I know. It's
what version?
Is it
There's only
the Colin Firth
version.
Darcy version.
The 1995
Okay,
six-part
making a note.
BBC adaptation with Alison Steadman as Mrs. Bennet is the perfect version. There is no other version
But
that's
there is
appropriate.
going to be another version.
Why mess with perfection?
Why mess with perfection? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But no, I mean, there are books where I always say I'm not a huge film watcher. I'm not, but I can totally appreciate some of the books that I've loved have been made into incredible films. Like I loved The Godfather as a book. And I mean, you don't need me to tell you, The Godfather, it's quite a good film actually, although The Godfather 1 is arguably by far the best.
Yes.
But the book, I think with a film like that, I think some people don't even know that it was a book.
Yeah,
really,
so
I
true.
don't think they know, because the film is rightfully so massive, so successful. I mean, it's kind of one of those films that you do judge people probably if they've not seen it slightly.
Yeah, it's a real cult classic.
But people aren't so aware of the book. And unsurprisingly, it's an absolutely brilliant book.
Yeah.
It really is.
I think we'd be remiss not to mention the Harry Potter series, because I feel like those films have sparked. I mean, that was obviously Harry Potter overtook the world when those books came out, and it was so organic, it was so word of mouth. What they've now spawned in terms of the media industry and the Disney and
theme parks.
It's
unreal.
Yeah, I'm a bit
but I
scared.
actually, and I loved when it came to those films. I think a key thing in the Harry Potter series, like kind of growing up with it, you've got the first few books, which are kind of, I mean, they've got some heavy themes, but they're easy to read.
Much
and
more childish.
They're a bit more childish. And then you get much darker. And that was so brilliantly done in the film. You really felt that shift. And I think that's a really important shift when you're watching or reading. And I mean, they're great movies. They're great movies. I mean, I just think, you know, the characters, the actors, they became those characters totally. That's why I'm very interested to see how this Harry Potter TV series plays out on screen and in my head when we get to that point of being able to watch it, because those actors have become those characters.
So true.
Which is kind of weird.
It's so true. There's so many other adaptations that we have loved. I didn't even know. Did you know The Shawshank Redemption was a book?
I didn't know. I did not know that was a book.
No, nor
I mean,
did
I'm guilty of, lack of knowledge on that. Not a clue.
I think, you know, there are ones that have hit and miss, but I have not met a person who loved Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall trilogy that didn't think that the Wolf Hall trilogy that the BBC adapted was not by far the most phenomenal adaptation.
I mean, that was really...
So Mark
something.
Rylance is an actor of phenomenal stature, but even when he glanced at the tapestries, like, you knew what was happening in his mind. He's so facially expressive.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
But I think there are also, I mean, it's the good with the bad, isn't it? I mean, I find it really hard to stomach when a book that I've loved has been made into a dreadful film.
There's nothing worse.
In my mind, so one of my favourite books, we've talked about it on the podcast, is We Need to Talk About Kevin, which is an absolutely phenomenal, but also incredibly, it's quite harrowing to say the least, novel about, I mean, the main theme is nature v nurture. You've got Kevin, who, his relationship with his mother, it's kind of the focal point of the book. And something really terrible happens at the end. I'm not putting this very eloquently, but I don't want to give too much away. The book, the structure is key. And I think that, I would imagine, is something that's really hard sometimes to handle when you're dealing with adaptations, because a written structure versus a cinematic structure, you've got to make a judgment call. Will it work or will it not? And perhaps with maybe books that are less structurally complex, it's not a huge issue. But we need to talk about Kevin is all told through letters, and there's a really big twist in the plot, and it's all to do with the fact that it's told in this way. But they could never have put together a film that was maybe told in this way, and they don't. And for me, I felt it just really lacked as a result, that film. Although I thought Tilda Swinton as the mother kind of worked, but the film itself just did not do it for me at all. And I felt quite irritated watching it. Because
so that was a miss?
For me, a massive miss.
Okay, we're going to hit or absolute miss, okay? Don't throw any books at each other. That's my notes. Where the Crawdad Sings.
Oh, well, I mean, miss in that I missed the film because I did not like that book, and then I didn't see the film. Like, did you see it?
I did not enjoy the book, and I did not enjoy the film. It's such a hyped book. You've got it right there.
Yeah, it's just, this is one of those books that I feel slightly awkward about, because I know nearly everyone loves it, and what a book. And it just, for me, it just did not do it for me. And I feel like it's fine to say that. I know that 99% of readers absolutely loved it, but I didn't even want to see the film, so that's a miss.
It's interesting because we've not even touched upon Reese Witherspoon's role in the adaptation of books.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, the Hello Sunshine Company, like that whole, it's completely predicated on the basis of finding books that she then has the rights to.
And we're seeing it more and more when you think about Yesteryear, which has been such a huge book of this year. And people have loved it, people have loved it less, but as it goes, much of the ending was sort of helped along by Anne Hathaway, wasn't it? Who has optioned the film and will be starring in the lead role when it is produced.
So, Claire Burke, the author, was on her stories on Instagram, not only yesterday, talking about this. Someone asked her, how much did they impact the ending of your book?
What, that Anne Hathaway was involved?
Her position is there was a draft already finished with an ending that had already been plotted, and the only people that impacted the book were her agent and editor. However, the film, she had many conversations with the film company and with the film team that helped.
I.e. Anne Hathaway.
Which is just so incongruent. Either there was a draft that you stuck with or there wasn't, and then she kind of veered away. So I would very much like to cross-examine her on that.
I mean, Anne Hathaway, though, she is literally everywhere. And with adaptations. But
well, and we're going to get to the Odyssey. Yeah. It ends with us.
Okay, book for me, massive miss. Film for me, massive hit.
Interesting.
I did not like that book at all. I'm sorry. Again, another one I don't really feel bad saying it, because I'm going to be open. Colleen Hoover is not a writer whose work I enjoy reading. And I know that a lot of people really love Colleen Hoover, and that is the exact type of book that they want to read. I only read the book because the film was coming out, and I think we were talking about it on Instagram. Otherwise, I never would have picked it up. The film, however, I really, really loved it. I'm not saying it was particularly well acted, but I just thought it was really well done, and how they handled a lot of really quite heavy issues. Obviously, I kind of went down the rabbit hole afterwards of all the scandals associated with that. But as a film, I've actually watched it again recently.
Have you?
Yeah, I watched it in the cinema.
God.
I saw it when it came out pretty quickly, and it's now on Netflix, and I've watched it.
It's been taken over by what's happened since, I think.
But I think it's a good movie, but I did not enjoy reading that book.
I thought the acknowledgements of Colleen Hoover's book in that book were so much more moving, where she talked about her mother's own journey and how her stepfather walked her down the aisle. And I was like, well, that was much more moving than the entire story.
Did you like the book?
No. I think everyone knows that's listened to us that we think Off Campus has brought people into the romance genre and in some ways heated rivalry.
Me, I would never have gone there.
Never. And now you want to read those books and have bought them.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I knew they were books.
Yeah.
Would never have touched them, in all honesty. But I have since purchased The Mistake for a summer read.
It's literally with you wherever you go.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I think it's, and every time, I've got to be honest, every time I open a page, I'm like, ooh, bit cheeky.
What's interesting about a very recent and massive adaptation project, Hail Mary, is that I know people that are really not readers who loved the film so much they've now gone and bought the book.
Oh, really?
Yes. They're
That's
just like,
very interesting.
It's, you know,
have you seen the film?
Yes, it's beautiful.
And did you love the book?
No.
But you read it a while ago.
I read the book and I found it incomprehensible. It is so mathematical. It's so scientific. And I was just like, I cannot deal with this. And then there's this like spider robot alien. I'm like, get out of my face. And remember, I'm a romantasy reader. Like there's not many places my imagination hasn't and cannot go. And I just found it incomprehensible. And actually seeing it visualized with that beautiful score was amazing. And what I feel like, another one that I feel like that about is June.
Okay, I haven't read or watched June.
June is another one of those adaptations I have watched 50, 60 times. It is
50, 60 times?
It is magnificent. There's witches, it's political, it's sci-fi, there's Star Wars. I freaking love it. And now I've read the book and I thought, do you know what? The book is not as good. And
so had you read the book before? So with Project Hail Mary, the book didn't do it for you. No. The film did.
Yes.
Would that make you want to read the book again?
No, because it was so heavy with the science.
Okay. So one where the book happens to be one of my favourite books ever, Never Let Me Go. So I actually didn't know that was a film at all.
Interesting.
When I read it, and it was. And it's got a pretty stellar cast. It's Keira Knightley, Carey Mulligan plays Kathy H. Andrew Garfield is in it. And it's really interesting, this book, because I read it and from the very start, I felt like I was going through a whole different reading experience in terms of, the kind of the heights that fiction can take you, really. And it is a sad book. There are aspects of it that are very bleak, although Ishiguro does talk a lot about how there are actually hopeful aspects. And I think when you step away, you can see that. The film, I could not finish it. It was so heartbreakingly sad.
Really?
It was too much. And you know I'm kind of in for like the dark, the morbid, that kind of vibe. This film was just, I found it distressing and I couldn't watch it. For me, there was nothing very hopeful or positive in that film.
It's so interesting because books, the beauty of books, and we had Sarah A. Parker on who talked about her smash hit fantasy series, which was When the Moon Hatched and Ballad of Falling Dragons. And some of her words and some of her characters mean so much to people. They've tattooed it on their body and they see people in different ways. And when you're putting art out there into the world, it's so open to interpretation. It's so personal, so subjective. And the problem is that when someone's interpreting it and then putting it out on the screen, people feel so invested. And they're like, you are messing with something that means something to me.
Well, they feel like it's their own. But what's really fascinating, and it actually stems from a conversation we had with the team at the National Year of Reading. You know, when you think about films, it's very easy to sort of say, oh, well, I love horror, or I love comedy, or I don't like chick flicks. You know, you can kind of, there's that genre categorization and you can say one's for you and one isn't. And that sort of demarcates books. They'll fall into categories when they get adapted. But actually, when it comes to the books themselves, like people are either like, I like reading or I don't like reading. And so sometimes I think that what an adaptation can do is it can really take a book beyond the constraints set by reading as a creative act, because you're either in the reading camp or you're not. But when it comes to movies,
everyone watches something.
There's something. It feels like there are many more watchers than readers.
I know, but then there's a danger to that, because when you look at like Wuthering Heights, you're taking a classic and like messing with it.
Well, what did you think of that?
I hated it.
You hated it.
Yeah.
So I kind of loved it. I read the book. I read the book whilst, like, just before. And I really loved the book. And I mean, the film was completely not the book.
No.
But I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah.
Maybe when I say I enjoyed it for what it was, Jacob Elordi on screen, I enjoyed that.
I know, but then when you've got a book presented on screen, it's one fixed interpretation. And that's the problem. It's not open to the beauty of reading, which is you can take a book and you can put your own, like, imagination onto it.
It's even as basic as what the character sounds like in your head, what they look like. But, you know, I get it. I totally
and the
hear what
best
you say.
adaptations then become those readers, like you've said about Harry Potter, those characters are now those characters forever.
They are them.
I think, but it does, like, you know, obviously Dune brought a lot of people. Game of Thrones brought a lot of people into the fantasy world. I feel like I've seen a lot of Reddit comments being like, I never read fantasy.
Hunger Games. Twilight, exactly.
I loved the adaptation of Twilight.
Twilight's a fantastic adaptation. I mean, honestly, the chemistry between Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson on screen. Like, I've actually rewatched a couple of the Twilight movies recently with my daughter and my niece because they've read some of them, and we're going through like book as a film only when you've read the book kind of thing. They are so good, and I actually don't think they date, which is pretty impressive. And they are kind of old now.
No, they are. I think there are other adaptations that I think are really beautiful, almost monuments to the film, like Atonement, Call Me by Your Name.
Atonement is stunning.
And I think things like series like The Testaments and Bridgerton have very much also, you know, brought the readers back into the space of Netflix.
Bridgerton and The Testaments are a total triumph in terms of what TV can do for books that actually maybe the book can't do. I'm going to say it because, and I loved The Testaments, the novel. I loved it. It's actually a book that I'm not exaggerating. I nearly got run over reading it near Old Street because I walked across near the roundabout with my nose in that book. Like, it's phenomenal. But that TV show, now there's a massive change. I mean, I don't think it's not a surprise, but in the book, the two girls are sisters. In the TV show, they cannot be, because otherwise they would not be at the school at the same time. It's whatever, it has to be done. The shots, the filming, that dance that they do in the hall of the girl. I mean, it's possibly one of the most beautiful.
That's interesting.
Beautiful filmed scenes I've ever watched. The Handmaid's Tale, I interestingly only watched one season.
I found it too hard to watch.
I watched one. I never watched the rest, and I know people are like devout on it, like they loved it. But then
also it's turned people off the books because they're like, it's too gruesome. And this is something that's really bothered me with a series that meant so much to me in my personal, like, genuine life, where I was so ill and I read this series, A Discovery of Witches, in hospital, and it took me away from my physical, like the physical pain that I was in. This, like, the adaptation was lovely, but it messed with it. And I've had readers that follow us, come to me and say, I really want to read that series. I know how much you love it, but I watched a few episodes and didn't enjoy the adaptation, so why would I read it? I'm like, no!
Yeah, you're missing
so
out.
much better.
Yeah.
That's where adaptations are risky.
I totally get that. Like, it's a shame when it actually will prevent people from
Yes.
going back to the source.
And I really am fascinated by the, like, tension between the creator and then the team that make it something else.
You mentioned Bridgerton. I have to go back there because I haven't read the Bridgerton books, but there's also a massive, like, financial element that can't be ignored, because Bridgerton, I think some of those episodes are the most expensive TV episodes ever made. And let's be honest, the money must help, because the spectacle of watching as they move through those gardens, it's unbelievable. I mean, also, after I watched Bridgerton, each series, this kind of says a lot about me, but I have then sat in my car, every car journey, listening to various songs on the violin, like pop songs on the violin. The Bridgerton Spotify playlists are to die for.
They are.
It's a different kind of immersive experience. It does offer you a lot.
It does. And look at what's happened with Off Campus. I mean, Elle Kennedy on Your Yacht in Monaco, invite us on. You know,
did she not even listen to our podcast episode?
They could not print those fast enough. And that's fascinating because people are wanting more, because the show was so well done. They're like, well, I want more of the characters. I want to know what the books are based on.
They want the books. Yes. And the books have gone way, way into the future. We're nowhere near them on the TV yet.
I have read some of those books and I did not. I think the show elevated it massively.
We loved that.
I mean, we now come to a section on like, you know, the books that are coming up.
Yeah, there are some really good ones,
and there are
aren't there?
some amazing ones.
So we've had some amazing adaptations this year. Some amazing, maybe some less so. But what are you really looking forward to that's coming out?
I'm petrified of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Oh gosh, that's going to be a tough one. I actually would like to talk to Gabrielle Zevin about that.
Well, maybe we should email her because we've had her on our account before and we love her.
We do love her. And gosh, our feelings for that book. It's serious.
Yes.
I mean, it's a really hard one to imagine as a movie.
Exactly.
I don't feel that it's going to be done badly. I feel like it will be.
Hopefully she's got some control.
Yeah, that's what I'm hopeful for, that she has quality control.
You're very excited about Klara and the Sun.
I'm really excited about Klara and the Sun. I mean, the trailer to me looks pretty damn good. And this was the first Ishiguro that I ever read. We got sent an advanced copy from Faber, and then it sent me on my Ishiguro bender ever since. Like, the obsession is real. I think I say this every week, and I am sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry, because you need to read this if you haven't. I think the film looks visually stunning. It's being made by Taika Waititi, who is married to
Rita
Ora. That's not why he's famous, but I do know that he is. And I think I feel that that's going to be a good one.
Yes.
And I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see it pan out on screen in front of my eyes.
I don't know if I'm lawfully allowed to watch the new Pride and Prejudice. I just feel like I might get kicked out of the Alison Steadman.
Why? Because you're going to be so vocal about it in the cinema.
Pride and Prejudice is canonical, and I understand that people want to adapt it again and again. The other Bennett sister, which was like a spin-off, I feel like really preserved the beauty in the 95 version. I just don't know if I probably will watch it and be very scoffy and very, very dismissive. But I think I'm also very trepidatious about the new Harry Potter series. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited, but I'm trepidatious, exactly the same. When you talk about Pride and Prejudice, the classics, and when I think of a classic for me in terms of like adaptation that I actually really loved, I really loved both Little Women that have come out. So there was the one when I was really, really young. Can't remember exactly how old, but it's a great one. And then there was one much more recently in the last 10 years. And I think both of those worked. And that is a book that I really, really enjoyed as a child. And for me, both adaptations actually just brilliantly brought it to life. East of Eden.
That's coming.
And I wasn't aware of it. So I actually bought, and I can never pronounce it, and I say this all the time, Grapes of Wrath, Grapes of Wrath, Wrath, who knows? But I bought that book, and then I decided it was too big. I actually didn't quite fancy it then. And then someone actually got me a copy of East of Eden, and I've got it here unread. Look how, it's untouched. But I've got it and I want to read it. And it turns out it's being made into a Netflix series with, I think, Florence Pugh. It's coming out later this year. So I think I've got to get that one in.
Yeah.
That might be a Falling Further guide, That actually might be one that we really dig into as a book.
There's loads of romance coming. So Emily Henry's had an adaptation. She's got one coming as well. Ali Hazelwood is going to be massive with The Love Hypothesis. Sarah J. Maas said on Call Her Daddy that she's bought back her adaptation rights. She's got the film rights. I think there's going to be...
Is it coming?
Yes. I think that we are going to see an explosion of romantasy adaptations. I think we're right now in the romance phase of that. Yeah. We're in the heated rivalry, off-campus version. But that's the time now.
And now it's time for the dragon porn must now arrive.
But romantasy is going to be massive because I imagine the studios are just watching the bestseller list and seeing the constant names coming up and thinking, what are we doing here? A bit like Frida McFadden, Sophie, which, we are not massive fans of Frida McFadden writing here.
No.
I totally get it. We read it. We got it. It's propulsive. Did I enjoy that film? Not in the slightest.
No, I really didn't enjoy that movie at all. At all.
But I would be shocked if there aren't more Frida McFadden films coming.
Of course, they're going to be. But it's funny when you think about it, I get it. you think we're moving into romantasy.
Without
it
question,
seems like that's what's next. Well, look at the Odyssey. I know it's not actually. If we're talking about adaptations, the Odyssey is like the fantasy, but it lacked the sex. It should have been in there, don't you think?
It's totally
Like,
supposed
where
to be
is
in there.
it? Where did it all
Well,
go?
Emily Wilson said she wrote in the Times, and she was interviewed a few times around the adaptation, and she was like, and Mary Beard said this, there's like the lack of intimacy, the lack of food. This is a real human poem, and they took that out. We are going to now do a little bit on the Odyssey.
We just haven't talked about the Odyssey enough.
Because that is surely one of the biggest adaptations of potentially the decade.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was sitting there screaming, shouting, then loving it every other 5 minutes. Barry did not know what to do with me. I think what the Odyssey preserved was phenomenal in terms of hospitality, about the fact that the Trojan War itself was a breach of Xenia. I hated the fact that they took away Odysseus's hubris and arrogance. Where was Utis? Where was No Man? Where was all that stuff?
And No Man was, I guess, all distilled into that additional shot of the arrow that he fired at Polyphemus, but like it just didn't do it for me. That wasn't enough. I saw it at the IMAX, and actually it's the first movie I've ever seen in an IMAX cinema. My brother, he's organised and he got the tickets like quite a few weeks ago, and we went together, and I have never had that experience of feeling mentally and physically immersed in a film. I felt like I was on the bloody Odyssey, like on that boat. The woman next to me, she looked like she was going to be sick. I actually really felt it. My chair vibrated. I didn't know that was an IMAX thing. It was intense. I thought a lot of the film was really well done, terrifying. I loved the Circe scene.
Oh my God, I was obsessed with it.
It was incredible. The way she moved her hands. I thought Samantha Morton was fantastic as Circe. Yeah. That I loved. I actually liked how the book managed to retain that non-linear, the film managed to retain the book's non-linear structure, although obviously we don't have Odysseus recounting what happened to him at the banquet. Instead, he's sitting with Calypso.
Which was so messed up.
Which actually was a bit like, why?
He never forgot.
That's the thing. But
Odysseus was not supposed to forget. What did she... Oh, he's eating the lotus flowers. No, he's not.
No, she never gave him those flowers, did she? In the
not.
book? But I wonder what it made me think.
So irritating.
Because do you remember how we were discussing when we were doing our deep dive and the Falling Further guide, this PTSD aspect of the Odyssey?
They brought that out.
And how actually Odysseus, in a way, he was almost not necessarily the first victim of PTSD, but that was PTSD before it had a name.
Yes.
And I felt that the movie really tapped into that PTSD aspect. And I think that's because in this day and age, that's something that people perhaps can really connect to.
Totally.
And it was very much that kind of aspect. Because again, like, there was none of the sex. There was not, like, I just felt it was very bleak in that way. And you're right with, why was she giving him the lotus flowers?
I don't know.
Where were the lotus eaters?
I thought the hospitality aspect, and Nolan has said in interviews that what he really wanted to bring out is what we said about the fact that this was the infrastructure. They didn't have Airbnbs. You relied on the kindness of strangers to survive.
And they were quite literally strangers because no one could prove their identity. No one was walking around with a driving license or a passport.
And the whole concept of theoxany, and it could be a god. And I thought that they really represented the importance of interpersonal relationships and how communities function within one another really well. I thought Telemachus was not as insidious, and his relationship with Penelope wasn't as
He was
frictious.
quite a lot more affable, wasn't he?
Yes.
I felt. I have to say, though, overall, I actually thought it was an incredible feat of cinematic storytelling.
Totally agree.
I mean,
Agamemnon's costume. That helmet. I don't care that it's historically the joke we wrote
in the underworld as he slid forward. That was quite
where
terrifying.
were Achilles and Patroclus?
Yeah.
That was the blind pair. I loved the film. Obviously, when you're adapting something that people are so enmeshed in, academics, etc., there's going to be a lot of strong opinions. It was a cinematic feat. I will say that the whole racism argument around the casting of Lupita is ridiculous, and we've written about this because babes, she's born from an egg. Like, what are you talking about historically accurate? Like the Cyclops did not exist, like breaking news.
The Clytemnestra scene was brilliant.
Phenomenal.
Brilliant. And I think they did that brilliantly too. The mirroring, the parallel of the two homecomings.
And Menelaus and Helen and Dairy.
He was great as Menelaus at the table
Perfect.
talking to Telemachus.
Perfect.
Brilliant.
I absolutely was having convulsions when Samantha Morton was saying to the pigs, get back into your disguises. That whole concept of you are posing as men. And we know that they were so incredibly brutal. Like, we know from what happened in Troy and what these people, the rage that poured through those walls. But what I really did not appreciate was the fact that the maidservants, or slaves, as Emily Wilson calls them, there was none of that brutality that these girls who were victims of severe sexual assaults were then slaughtered.
Yeah.
But Circe was amazing.
Circe was amazing. Those hand movements. Oh my goodness.
What people may not have realised from the scene with Circe, which my husband Barry did pick up.
Thank you, Barry.
Was that this was an homage to a really important person in cinematography, and obviously Christopher Nolan, who obviously is a real student of all things cinema, was paying homage to.
The stop motion legend that is Ray Harryhausen. And this Ray Harryhausen's work very much inspired specific creatures in the Odyssey, like Polyphemus, and also the sorceress Circe, the way that she turns those men into pigs. These practical body and horror effects.
And I think we go back to the importance of books, the importance of reading, the importance of humanities, because we're looking at all of these massive cultural moments and behind them are books.
That's absolutely the truth. And it's not just adaptations extending books. Ultimately, in my mind, the book lies at the heart of them all.
It does. And so even despite the disasters, despite the adaptations that completely miss the point, they are still inspiring.
Yes, and they have ultimately become the blueprint for much of the entertainment that we are now consuming on screen.
Absolutely. And I think, to close, the books that I wish would be adapted.
Oh, go on.
In Memoriam. Come on. Come on. It deserves
it. Needs to happen. It needs to happen, but that would be a really hard one to psych myself up to go and watch, because, like, what if it went wrong? But I don't think it would.
I don't think it would.
I don't think it would. In Memoriam more. I'm actually going to struggle to think of something that I'd want to see in the cinema more than in Memoriam. It's definitely, that for me is definitely cinema, not like a Netflix series.
Same.
Buckeye is a Netflix series. I can imagine that.
Buckeye.
Yeah. There's a bit of the Revolutionary Road by Richard Ford that starred Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. That was a movie, but I can see Buckeye as a bit of a series. Oh, I actually really want it now that it's in my head. Let's make it happen.
We can just ask Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick, do it for us. Come on.
Thank you so much for listening today. And we'll be back next week because we are not taking a break over the summer. We are going to ensure that you have us in your ears every week.
By the pool, in your garden, while you're at work, whatever you happen to be doing. We hope you're enjoying your summer, and we look forward to having you listening here with us.